So we are live. I'm so old I want to say not memorized. So, hi, I'm Duke Bossanova.
And I'm Lola Bossanova.
And this is Bossanova Life.
Today we are bringing you another installment of our new series, Get to Know.
And today we're going to get to know Spike from the Hula Girls as we discuss lounge and exotica music. So, how are you doing today, Spike?
I'm doing just fine. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. Thank you. Thanks for joining us today.
I'm stoked to be here.
Southern California.
It's beautiful out today. It's probably like in the 80s, so it's a nice day to be quarantined at home and on a table, a new table for the breezeway. So I'm staying busy.
Quarantining crafts.
Yep, totally.
Well, even here in Oregon, it's West Coast, Best Coast. It's supposed to be 86 and clear skies tomorrow. So
yeah, we will take it because we don't get that often this time of year.
So, lounge and exotica music. Can you tell us what that is? Can you define that for us?
Or what kind of music? Okay, here, let's make this broader first.
Okay.
What got you into this scene? Did it start with lounge and exotica?
What got me into this scene was when I was in college in Stockton in 1997-ish. I had a design professor, and I was in Stockton, and if you know anything about like the vintage tiki bars, Stockton Islander made a lot of tiki mugs. And so this is pre-eBay. So I was going to the thrift stores just looking for like thrift store clothes or whatever. This is like 97, 98, something like that. And I kept coming across mugs, and I'd come across this stuff. It was like 50 cents or whatever, and it was always written on in wax on the bottom. I started buying them up, but I had a design professor that started telling me, yeah, the Islander, that was a restaurant. And it seems so obvious now, but when you look back to that era, the late 90s, if you weren't hip to it, man, there was no information on tiki at all.
No, and there was no internet really back then, right? There's just PBS systems.
Yeah, if you looked up tiki, it was mostly that football player Tiki Barber. Tiki Central was just starting to happen, I think. So I credit my design professor for explaining to me what tiki was, and from there I started getting into the music, and it was the Blue Hawaiians, really that vintage surf music and the Blue Hawaiians that really got me into that whole thing. And man, I'm so honored to have Gary Brandon from the Blue Hawaiians in the Hula Girls now. It's, even 10 years later, I still go, man, how did that happen? So.
See, I didn't even know that. I knew we were going to learn many new things today.
Oh, cool.
So the Hula Girls, of which, are you the leader of the Hula Girls, or are you the lead singer?
Yeah, I'm the main Hula Girl.
The main Hula Girl, all right.
Yeah, it's my band.
You guys played at the infamous tiki bar in Long Beach.
Don
the Beachcomber.
I'm like, is that
yeah.
Yeah, you guys played like 160 times at Don the Beachcomber or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I know that we played the Dagger Bar over, well, I thought it was almost 200 times, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's 160. I don't recall.
I'm just going off of information online.
Oh, okay. But yeah, that was in Sunset Beach. And then Long Beach now has the Bamboo Club, and we were able to play their grand opening, and then they lost their music license, and now who knows what's going on now.
Yeah, totally.
So lounge and exotica, let's get back to that.
Yeah.
How would you define lounge and exotica music for people who are watching this channel, who may be in the classic cars and all the other things, but don't know what that is specifically?
That's a tricky category to define, I think, because okay, so let me start with exotica. I would say that exotica I would say that it's fake jungle music. if I could say that.
Describe it. That's a good way to describe it.
You know, the primary guys were Martin Denny and Les Baxter and Arthur Lyman. But it was the guys in their bands that started creating those jungle sounds in the background and really sold the idea. I think it was at the Shell Bar in Waikiki that Martin Denny was playing. He was playing jazz standards or whatever, and then all of a sudden, I think he started playing Quiet Village, and there was a bullfrog that was croaking along. And then so his band members started chiming in with their own bird calls and stuff. And a night later, a couple came back and said, hey, do the song with all the animal sounds in it. And he was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh.
So this is this is the story I heard as well about the bullfrog and them making the sounds. Yeah.
And actually I wrote that into a song that Hula Girls sung called Leilani. It talks about the birth of Exotica and actually that scene right there. But and then the lounge side, I don't know. I mean, when I hear lounge, I think of the Rat Pack and I think of that kind of stuff. But my favorite stuff is Esquivel. I think Esquivel is really like such a it's bizarre bachelor pad music. Mm-hmm. That and my other favorite's Corla Pandit, who was a black dude who pretended he was Indian so that he could play white clubs.
Oddly enough, just recently found out about that documentary. I think I even messaged you about it. I searched the internet far and wide trying to find the whole documentary. I wanted to see this guy. Apparently, he did something like 600 different TV appearances, and yet I can't find hardly anything on him.
I know, isn't that well? They didn't record TV shows really until I think I Love Lucy. So it was like they'd perform, and then it would just go off into the ether. And
apparently it was live, like almost like once or twice a week. He would perform. But they didn't record it, or if they did, they would re-record over top of it again later, from what I understand. So I don't know.
Okay.
Early they had celluloid, and it was just super expensive, so they wouldn't do it. And then when they could record later on with magnetic, they just went back over top of it again because it's expensive.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine not thinking that there would be anything in value of rebroadcasting? Like that was a whole thing before. TV was just like. Anybody could be on TV, and film was like the prestigious thing. TV was just like a pastime.
TV was just the next step from radio, I think that which
early,
was live.
Early TV was like that gap between the radio and movies, right? So it's like it's live broadcast, and then it goes away into the
it's pre-recorded, but it isn't something that they then would keep because they didn't see the value in it.
Right.
It's kind of a fun topic to think about, and it's fun. That story is what a great story. All of the best things happen by accident, right? Or maybe not. Maybe some of them come from planning, but
totally a little planning, a little luck.
Yep, absolutely.
So obviously, the Hula Girls are Hawaiian music, but Hawaiian music kind of spans that gap, I would say, between Exotica and Lounge. Would you say?
Yeah, and I would say that the original intent of the Hula Girls was rockabilly, Hapa Haole inspired rockabilly.
Okay, I like it.
I think that over the years that's turned into more instrumental surf and also like Martin Denny style Exotica. When I, it was a kind of a late epiphany that I was like, man, I have Gary Brandon, one of the greatest steel guitar players that I've ever heard in my band, and he does that haunting kind of Exotica sound so well. So we had the Hidden Village on the first record, which was a true Exotica song, and that was dedicated to the back room in Don the Beachcomber, Sam Seafood. They called that the Hidden Village. And then the second record, we had a song called The Evening at Tongale, and that song was about instrumentals are instrumentals about anything. The title was from a Malibu tiki bar that my dad used to park cars at in the early 60s. So
that's amazing.
Evening at Tongale.
The creator, yes, it is about something to the creator.
Yeah.
And then it can become about something to other people as they experience it. So
right. I totally agree.
Yeah. So you talked about rockabilly. So, cause I hear a little of that. I hear that influence also. So is there, Is there somebody that you look to in the past that you look up to that you are just excited whenever you hear their music still? Well, I'm sure there's lots, but is anybody who pops into your mind?
I think the two greatest guys in the Southern California rockabilly scene, and probably the most influential, are Big Sandy and Deke Dickerson.
Yeah,
Big
totally.
Sandy.
We love both of them, but Big Sandy's
I kissed Big Sandy when
he's got special place.
It's happened.
Yeah. It's and you know, I hate to cite them as the biggest I don't know if they're my biggest influences, but as somebody who grew up in Orange County and went to the Doll Hut, and they were the ones that I really looked at as doing everything right, and really maybe like showed me the kind of the direction to go in, because I loved Brian Setzer too and Stray Cats and stuff, but that's so kind of out of touch, like not out of touch, out of reach. Like, you need to be a virtuosic guitar player, and you know, when he started the big band, he had a million horns, and even the Stray Cats were almost more kind of new wave. But you look at Deke or the Dave and Deke combo, that stuff, and actually our bass player Shorty Poole was in the Dave and Deke combo.
Really?
And, yeah.
You've got some talent.
I know, right?
Talent.
I would say that's kind of those are my favorite local inspirations. James Infield also, but that kind of comes from a more like countryside.
I would like Big Sandy we talked about earlier. It's definitely, he's got that crooner side. He's got that rockabilly side. He even did one of my favorites of his. I know it's not really tiki, but Tequila Calling is like definitely one of my. I love that song by him. It's amazing. Yeah.
So my ex-roommate for about 6 years, recently-ish, was Kevin Stewart, the bass player for Big Sandy and the Fire Right Boys. And he said that song was the biggest curse that they ever wrote, because every single town, every single bar they played, the minute that song came on, so would a tray of tequila right up to the front stage.
Yeah.
You gotta be a serious drinker to be in that band.
Yeah.
For real.
They seem to hold their own pretty well, though.
It reminds me of Lola and I used to go to a trivia night, and they had you have a team name, and we learned really quick and early. We named our team "Tip Your Bartender, Damn It," and because of that, the bartenders loved us to death, and they would help us out with answers and bring us free drinks.
Yeah,
That's
it was pretty fun.
I'm always play to your audience.
That's really cool.
They'd always be like, "Yeah, team Tip Your Bartender, Damn It is in the top 3 again." Yeah, they are.
That's rad.
So, what is it that drew you to the music scene?
I think that just before I even played the guitar, I found it so. It sounds so stupid. I just found it it was magic to me that somebody could play the guitar and move you that way.
Yeah.
And at first, in high school when I was first learning, it was like 1980s Metallica kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And
I do.
and
hair
all I
metal
wanted
bands.
to do was play really fast metal kind of stuff. And then as I found more I don't want to say more interesting genres, but when I found genres that had a scene that surrounded it that was more compelling to me, I think that's when I started going, oh, wait a minute, I want to write, songs about this other world. But that was after high school. Once I found tiki.
So you would say it was the escapism side.
Yeah, I would say that, and I would also say that my early years in college was about right when swingers came out. And I would say that really actually had a big impact on me too. And I was dating a girl who lived in LA at the time, and we'd go to the Dresden and all that stuff. And actually it was a bar called the Gaslight in Santa Monica where this old rockabilly guy, Jackie Lee Cochran, used to perform. And he made records in the 50s by a guy named Jack the Cat. That was his name. And Buy a Car and Ruby Pearl and some other stuff. But he was the biggest inspiration that got me from playing metal, and then punk rock to really loving rockabilly.
Nice. See, he's making me think about it. All these interviews we've been doing is making me realize, like, where we can. I think it was the movie Six String Samurai.
Oh yeah.
You've ever seen that movie? That
the Red Elvises.
Okay, rockabilly.
Yeah, the Red
That's
Elvises.
what's up. The Red Elvises and all that. I was already a big fan of like Deadbolt and Norton Heat and all those guys, but I didn't realize there was like a scene until I saw that movie, and all of a sudden I was like, wait a second, there's something here.
I saw the Red Elvises a million times at Rusty's on the pier, Rusty's Surf Ranch on the pier in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
And one of our dancers, Marlena Ukulena, her dad started the Red Elvises.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? Wow.
They just came through. Well, it's it's
Oleg?
No, not Oleg. It's
there's one member left.
One member left.
Yeah.
It's called.
Oh, right.
It's called. Oh my goodness gracious.
Igor.
Igor. Yes.
Igor, yeah.
So Igor and the Red Elvises or whatever. I met him like just this last fall. He came through, and he's got a cane, not doing so well. And then he's sitting there, but then as soon as he comes up on stage, he puts the cane down and gets the guitar out and just starts shredding.
Mm-hmm.
His fingers go so fast. He's such a good surf player. I was just in awe. But I chatted with him, and one of the things that made me super sad was when he literally said, "This may be our last tour." Yeah. And I'm all like, I'm so glad I got to see you guys again for like the 20th time, because if they come through, I'm gonna go see them.
Yeah. You know, it's sad too when you expect a certain lineup of a band and then you don't see that lineup anymore. You know what I mean? Because I know that if he's the only one in that band, and people may have said that about the Hula Girls too, that as people come and go out of the band, you know, it changes the band. You know,
what they've done is with Igor and the Red Elvises, which is fun, is they've gone and embraced more of the lounge side, and they've got 4 of these super smoking hot ladies from LA that go with them.
Each time they come through, they're a little different.
And they change up a little bit, but they've got this one girl who's like 5'0" who plays a stand-up bass, who's amazing. And then the drummer is also, I'm like, they're very talented. Well, that's why I found, I'm like, where did you find 4 hot ladies who all are great musicians? He looks at me and goes, LA. And I'm like,
one song they were playing, and they all like put down their instruments and shuffled and picked up another instrument, and
they'll switch instruments during it. Like the keyboardist moves over to the drums, the drummer moves over to the bass. Yeah, they just keep switching around.
And I think people would probably say the same thing about the Hula Girls. Like you might have new iterations, but you have talent every single time.
He found a way to keep it fun. That's all that matters, right?
Everybody brings something. Yeah, definitely.
But basically, Igor's the one who just destroys the guitar. It's a lot of solos with him.
Yeah. You know, I guess I would say that probably helped inform not my playing necessarily, but my love of the genre too. Because all those times at Rusty's Surf Ranch, you know, that was early 2000s.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was probably when we were.
So what led you to High Tide Recordings?
Well, Vincent reached out to me, and he's a very persistent bastard. And I would also say he's one of my closer friends now also, though.
But you want a guy like that as your manager and on your side. Yeah,
for sure, absolutely. Like, you know, he was like, why don't you do a 45? And I was like, well, I don't know. It's so hard to get the guys together, and it's blah, blah. You know, I was making excuses. And he's like, record 4 songs. I'll put them out on a record. And I was like, well, what are we going to have to pay into it? And he's like, don't worry about it. Just do it. So once he sold that to me, then it was like, oh, okay, that's really cool. And then he ended up getting me to photograph. He ended up getting me to be able to photograph the Hukilau and his event back in Pittsburgh, and so
Summer Holiday.
Summer Holiday, and then we played Summer Holiday, and then I photographed Winter Holiday. So he's High Tide Recordings. Both of them, Vincent and Magda, are both incredible, and I think they're very important to this weirdo music. Really, is like what I call it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like surf and instrumental and some rockabilly, but mostly they love surf and lounge kind of stuff.
I'd say Bloodshot Bill is one of probably crosses over to rockabilly the most, maybe.
Yeah.
Surfabilly.
It's surfabilly.
Totally.
They're doing a great job. One of the things we asked Tom Ingram is where he sees the scene going, and he said that it's hard because back in the day everybody would go out to bars and clubs, and that's where people got discovered, and so it's a little different now.
And they were already closing down everywhere.
Yeah, and
like
so
everywhere.
The scene has already changed a lot, but High Tide Recordings is stepping into that void and giving people a platform to get their music out, which is wonderful.
I tell you, like, I can't tell you. I can't tell you enough how much I think that they are doing for the scene. I really do. And I'm not just saying that because we're on the label or because they're my buddies. Like, I'd say it if I wasn't even involved. The amount of music they're putting out and stuff it's just, you know, I don't know that the scene would be progressing if it wasn't for them, you know?
Yeah. God bless them.
But it's also a weird thing because Viva Las Vegas, I know more and more people every year that go and never see a live band.
Yeah,
I know. We chatted with Tom about that, and his answer was, you know, hey, he wants to serve the whole scene, and I agree with him. Hopefully, it leads people into that, because I have run into a bunch of people who are like, I've gone to Viva. I've read somebody recently. It's like they said they went to Viva for 10 years, only ever went to the car show. Finally watched our videos enough, and we're like, hey, let's check out the bands. And then they're like, oh my God, these bands are amazing. I'm like, you just got to keep hooking them in, and sooner or later they'll come over. Your neighbors are not quarantining.
I know. Yeah, it's a funny thing. This last year, one of the makeup artists that I work with, I brought her to the Deke Dickerson Guitar Geek Fest, and after that she was like, "Oh my God, that was so much fun! I can't believe I've never gone and seen the music here at Viva Las Vegas." And it's like, and she had been to 10 of them or more, and there's so many in the pinup scene especially that are just there to like look at dresses and watch burlesque. Yeah, whatever, you do what you like, but that the rockabilly and pinup scene all grew out of rockabilly music.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
And
it's a harkening back to another time, and you get that with the pinup. Of course, there is modern pinup too.
Yeah,
but
I mean, for us,
a lot of people at Viva are not. They're definitely into vintage pinup.
We were kind of we've gone a weird way where like we were more into the I say like the Quentin Tarantino-esque tiki divey dark vintage bar scene and the music and all that, and then we found out about Viva from friends, and we went to Viva, like, this is amazing, but I never was really into like old school rockabilly until I started getting into it and realizing that my grandfather, who I grew up with, who had been the number 2 square dance color in America in the 50s and 60s, I grew up with a ton of it. I always thought this was just country, you know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, no, this is the rockabilly part. So then when they did like the Sun Records tribute like 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, oh my God, I know all these bands. But it was kind of I backed into it kind of, if you know what I mean? Like, I didn't realize that was the scene. I saw the one side of it, and I think that's what is amazing about like things like Viva is that they encompass all of it, and everybody's coming in from different angles, but eventually they're going to get sucked into the rockabilly, the surf, the exotica in the middle.
Or they won't, and that's fine too. But
no, we're going to keep working on them.
But we'll
I know. I'm like, yeah, that's fine too. And I'm like, I just think that for me, it's always been music first. Like always before everything else. And I wish the people that didn't necessarily pay attention to it would maybe take the time to watch it and understand it or whatever, because I think that has a lot to do with the whole style and the scene and everything. And there's something very disjointing about like a pinup model listening to Jay-Z or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing is...
Jay-Z. I thought you said J.D. I was like, J.D. McPherson's pretty good. I was like, wait. I was confused for a second. You're right, Jay-Z.
You're like, what's the problem with him?
I was like, he's just on J.D. McPherson. What is happening?
I will say, though, that if people give them a chance and actually go out and experience the bands at Viva, or even at some of these other weekenders, they're going to find a lot of different variety. Like somebody might say, oh, I don't like rockabilly music, but then they're going to go out and see so many different things encompassed underneath that heading.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was definitely more of a psychobilly guy who got slowly pulled into the rockabilly scene. I still love me some Deadbolt. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I love Deadbolt.
Yeah.
Still never seen them live either, which is I feel so horrible about. They just don't come through our area like they did in the 90s and like that before I got into the scene a whole lot.
Right.
But then once I did, they just don't come up here so much anymore.
I think we played with them like 12, how long ago? 8 years ago or something? 7 years ago?
I'm going to guess that they're in their late 50s, early 60s by now.
Yeah. Because
when I watch the live videos of them grinding metal and getting on stage and cussing at their audience, I'm like, I want to see that so bad. I chatted with AUDREY DELUXE about them a couple times, and she was like, oh, we could never have them at Viva. They're way too rowdy and a problem. I'm like, no, I want to see them get drunk on stage and melt down. Yeah. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, totally.
It'd be an experience.
Yeah, that's cool.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I thinking about it's really hard right now because when I say where are things at right now, if you think about the quarantine, but up until this point, where do you see from here on out? Where do you see the scene going? Like trying to skip the quarantine thing, because hopefully we do get back into some semblance of normal. But where do you see things going in the next few years?
I really just I don't even know how to address that. Like with the way that everything is right now, I read, I don't want to be a bummer or anything, but I read an article this morning about most major concerts not happening until 2021. Mm-hmm. That kind of thing. I'd like to think
2021 is going to be crazy.
Yeah, I know, right?
People are gonna go nuts.
We might not have corona, but we might catch something else there.
yeah, totally.
No. That's a different.
I'd like to think that everything just goes back to normal. I hope that Tiki Oasis happens. That's what October or something.
August.
Late August, yeah.
Mid-August, yeah.
They're sponsoring us this year and flying us in and everything. They want us to do Tiki Oasis TV.
Right.
And so we're stoked. I'm super excited because we've never actually made it before, and we decided, hey, let's slot this time apart for it because we've always had so many other events. We made special time for it, worked with Baby Doe, and now we're like, please let it happen.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that's why it's such a hard question because I love to get the take on kind of what's coming next. But it's hard right now because we're in limbo.
Yeah. Well, what about like old school outlets like Bachelor Pad Radio or something like that with Java? Do you think they're having an impact on the scene?
I mean, I haven't heard anything about that, so it's not impacting me.
Oh my gosh, you need to check out Bachelor Pad Magazine.
We're gonna
Java from Bachelor Pad has been running Bachelor Pad. He runs it every Sunday night. The Bachelor Pad Radio for like 10 years out of Chicago.
Okay.
So you can listen to that online. It's every weekend. It's some amazing,
kind of like what
amazing music
Tom does with Viva Las Vegas Radio. But
I'd say Bachelor Pad is probably the biggest. I think the largest lounge and Exotica radio out there.
Okay, yeah, I like his magazine, Bachelor Pad magazine.
Yeah. He's got the perfect silky voice for it.
Yeah.
Welcome to Bachelor Pad magazine.
Oh, cool.
And thinking about I guess what just came out, we just saw your video shot in your tiki bar. That was
let's discuss that for a minute. That's outstanding. That's that is definitely Hollywood quality. Did you do that on a DSLR? How'd you do that?
I did that on my mirrorless Fuji X-T3.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I rented a gimbal, and I had a buddy who acted as the cameraman because I couldn't be doing that and playing guitar at the same time. So I kind of directed.
The other part I was wondering, I was like, how is he doing this?
I directed it, and then set dressed it and stuff. And then my buddy that I build cars with, Josh, we kind of came up with the storyline and build that boat thing that's in the video. And Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And
you had
that's a Martin Denny song.
Veronica and her husband as a love interest. I like that.
It was a fantastic story, and of course your music it transports you to that place. So
thank you.
We really enjoyed it. We watched it back to back a couple times to just pick out all the fun stuff that was happening.
You definitely had a lot of Tiki Oasis crew in that video, I could tell.
Yeah, Kelly Merrill from Trader Sam's and Donnie, who's a pinup and car photographer, and
we
his
had
wife.
both of them at TikiCon 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And their wives are our dancers also, and Dano Forte, who's a surfboard shaper here in Newport Beach area, and also a blues guitar player who has opened for Green Day and Social Distortion in stadiums by himself, like with a suitcase for his drum.
That's
really
amazing.
Cool. He was our bartender, and then Kevin Stewart from Big Sandy and the Fly Right Boys was sitting at the bar having a cigarette. And,
really? I didn't realize. That's nice.
Yeah, totally. So it was a lot of fun. It's funny because Veronica didn't tell her husband that he was going to be like the sea captain. So he showed up, and I was like, "Are you ready?" And he's like, "What are you ready for what?" I was like, "What do you mean? You're gonna?"
He's a super chill guy. My experience of hanging out with him has been at Burlesque Bingo for many years. Because I go there and shoot pictures or video every year for that. And then sitting in the booth, and we have a little nip of whiskey back and forth until we're both pretty trashed before it's even over.
Very nice couple. Yeah, they're both
so
fantastic.
Nice.
And you were like, "Hey, by the way, you're the star of this."
Yeah, totally. He was like, "What?"
Find your muse.
I think Gus has something like 15 or 17 cars on his property.
Oh, really?
Wow.
And like
sounds like we need to go down there and shoot a video.
Really, really good cars. I think they're mostly junky, aside from maybe a couple, but they're all kind of on the back burner until you can get to them. But 50s Cadillacs and Chevys and shoeboxes and all kinds. Yeah.
So before we let you go here, that brings up that question. With our channel definitely having a classic car focus, I love your Econoline pickup. You're also working on a hot rod right now, is that correct? And then you have a Thunderbird still? Do you have a T-Bird still?
Yeah, 62 T-Bird.
So let's talk about those for a minute.
Yeah, I got the 62 T-Bird when I was working for Hurley. I was a T-shirt designer at Hurley. And that was my daily driver for a while, and then went and had it painted and stuff, and issues with the engine happened, and so now it just lives in my garage.
What are you running in it? What's the power plant?
It's a 390.
390. Okay, well there's your problem. You need a 351. The problem.
Right. Yeah. Well, I had the 390 rebuilt, so I have a rebuilt 390, but it's sitting next to the car. So
it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
So we'll get to that. And then the 61 Econoline pickup. Everybody likes to call it a van, and it's not a van. It's a pickup pickup truck.
It's actually one of Duke's dream cars.
Yeah.
For the last 10 years straight.
Every car show we go to.
I have nobody ever wants to part with them when they have one. That's nice. And everyone that I've found is pretty much just a shell. And I just don't have the time with this channel and my day job. I don't have the time to be. Basically, I told her it'd be like raising 3 dogs. You know what I mean? I don't have spare time in my life.
It was It was only recently that a buddy of mine hit me up and said, "Would you want to trade my shoebox for your Econoline?" And I was like, "Man, I spent a lot of time getting that Econoline nice."
They drift all over the road though. Those Econoline.
Yeah.
My granddad had one, the squirt head scholar I grew up with, and having an Econoline like that. That's why I wanted one so bad.
But it was only after seeing his shoebox that I was like, yeah, I think I could probably part with it. So I'm trying to finish it now, get the gauges working and stuff so that I can probably sell it.
Oh.
So what you running a 6 in that?
Yeah, it's a 200 from a 64 Falcon.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good fit.
But the whole top end's just been rebuilt and stuff, and so there's that, and I was driving that as my daily driver for years when I was a t-shirt designer at Volcom, and then as an art director at Hurley also, I was driving that as my daily driver. And then and it's all fur, like long white fur and everything on the inside.
It screams lounge music in Exotica. Just going down the road.
For sure it does.
We know what this guy's listening to.
And then recently, my buddy Josh, Tiramisu's husband, actually. I don't know if you know Tiramisu.
Yeah.
Burlesque.
Personally,
but we know, yeah.
Right, yeah. He and I keep buying cars and putting them on the side of my house. And if I don't hold them like to it, they just pile up. So we had a 53 Chevy for a minute, and then we kind of did some stuff to it and sold it, and basically made $500 on it. But right now we have a 60 Oldsmobile, and we're working on a 40 Chevy pickup hot rod pickup.
Oh.
It sounds, though, from what I'm learning about you, that you must be partial to Fords.
I do like Fords better.
Okay, all right. That's all right. I grew up in a Ford family, but here in the Northwest, it seems to be Chevy country. Everywhere I go, so many Chevys.
It's interesting because it's such a different design form language. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Ford has the rocket ship taillights, and they're kind of sleeker cars. Chevys are usually kind of more rounded and bubbly, and don't get me wrong, I love Chevys too. But if you draw a line in the sand, then I'm on the Ford side.
You're on Team Ford. Okay.
Yeah.
So the shoebox, what is that again? Did we? Well,
that was a 50. It was a 50 shoebox.
50 shoebox. Okay. All right.
Yeah. That I'd like to. Well, I think that's my next car.
That's the one on the docket.
Yeah, I've seen it on as you've been working on it.
No, you don't own that one yet, do you?
No.
It's not the one you're working on, though? What are you working on?
The hot rod is a 40 Chevy pickup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man, this guy's all over the place.
I know. But it's my buddy Josh, Tara's husband, that he's kind of, well, he likes all cars, but he found the frame, and he found the body, and he's really the car builder. If I were coming on here saying that I'm a car builder, I would be lying to you. I'm not. He knows how to build cars. I know how to cut metal and grind metal and all that kind of stuff. So.
And there's a great finished product when you're done.
You're not going to be welding up a frame anytime soon, is what I'm hearing.
No. But he can point and say, "Hey, we need pieces that look like this. Go make those," and I can do that. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're further along than me.
Yeah, that's a good skill to have.
People constantly come to us and ask us questions about various things in the scene, and I say that I know a little bit about a lot of things.
Right.
But if you wanted the specifics, I can tell you who to get a hold of, and I'm not that guy.
I think you guys serve an important role in the scene too. I think that documenting events and that kind of stuff. It's that's why I started making those cocktail videos out of the breezeway. I don't know if you've seen any of those, but I'm doing
7 questions in a cocktail.
Oh, well, there's that, but I'm also doing I don't want to call it a cocktail tutorial because I'm not.
Oh, where you're mixing up drinks.
Yeah.
Yes, I have seen that as well.
So I'm going through the Total Tiki app, and I'm 7 cocktails in. I have 247 left to go, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. But the reason I started making those is first of all, because I really want to taste all those drinks, and I want a reason to make the stuff that I wouldn't normally make.
Well, you can justify it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But also, there isn't a whole lot of really good tiki content on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Well, I would say the things that always surprise me is like your buddy Kelly Merrill. I'm surprised he hasn't done it, or somebody like that. Wasn't he like a Disney tiki bartender? Yeah. I think he would do it, or like Martin Kate would do one, but I think they're just so busy doing a lot of it because that is a big endeavor. Yeah. I would say the person I know who has probably the largest, he's not a tiki person per se, is a guy named Justin who runs Common Man Cocktails.
Okay.
They have about 2,500 videos out, and I want to say he's probably done about 150 to 200 tiki ones, and they're on point. He is very good with what he does. He's a really funny guy out of New England, and
tiki isn't his scene necessarily, but he researches.
But super nice guy. I actually messaged him like a year and a half ago on a Saturday afternoon. I just messaged him in an email with some questions about like how to keep your videos from being suppressed when you're doing things, and he wound up talking to me on the phone for like 3 hours straight. Loved our channel, loved what we were doing. So yeah, super nice guy. Check out Common Man Cocktails. I'm a big
Well,
fan.
real quick, before we go further, I wanted to see, because I do have to wrap up pretty soon. I got to go teach a yoga class. But,
multi-talented, by the way.
Oh, I thought you were teaching the yoga.
You won't even do yoga with me. So.
I have done yoga with you, just not in the classes.
I
don't want to be that guy in the back of the class. Like,
I'm teaching on Zoom right now, but So, but what else? Is there anything else you would like people to know about you, about your music? Anything that you would like to discuss? And we have
that 45 on High Tide Recordings that is supposed to be out the weekend of Tiki Caliente, which I guess is this weekend. I don't know what's going to happen with the record pressing stuff because that one of those wax buildings burnt down, and I think it's slowing all the record pressing stuff.
Yep,
but
that's what I've heard.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I guess I would ask people to follow the Hula Girls on Instagram, and if you want to follow me on Spike and the Camera for my photography stuff. I am now one of the principal photographers for Car Culture Deluxe.
Oh, nice!
So,
nice.
Just shot a cover this last.
By the way, that's a whole other conversation going on with gentleman's photography work.
I know. We talked about it. I'm like,
that's a deep dive. That's a deep dive.
It seemed like it was its own. Thing.
So, Spike, where can they hear your music online? Because I know you guys mostly record a vinyl, obviously, but where can they download your music online or listen to it online?
Yeah, Spotify. It's all on Spotify, and also thehulagirls.com. You can buy vinyl records there.
Okay, nice.
Yep.
Oh, yay.
Cool.
Yeah, and check them out on YouTube. If you don't know who the Hula Girls are, just type in the Hula Girls or go to Spike and the Camera and watch some awesome videos.
Yeah.
I'll put some down below.
We'll put some information down there. Well, he won't. I won't. I don't do that.
Well, thank you, Spike. You have a lovely day. Thank you for the interview and your time.
Thank you for giving us your time today. We appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you in person at a festival in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I hope we all get this back to normal as soon as possible. And I want to go to Tiki Oasis. So
we do too. Yeah, we're sending all of our positive vibes that way.